Hi, my name is Gail Chumbley, and I'm reading today from my book, River of January. New York, 1933. You, Chumbley? Chum glanced up from Mailer's desk where he was adding up airtime in his logbook. A well-dressed gentleman, clearly from the city, faced him. The caller had quietly stepped through the door, surprising the pilot intent on his figures. You found him, sir, Chum smiled warmly. My name's Rosenbaum, Richard Rosenbaum, but I go by Ross. The man extended his hand as Chum hopped up. Say, I need a reliable passenger plane for hire, with a good pilot at the helm. Your name was given to me over at the AP office. Uh-huh, Chum answered casually, privately pleased at the referral. Where exactly would you need me to fly, Mr. Ross? But Ross answered something else. I have a chair on the stock exchange, but don't hold that against me, he volunteered. Chum gawked and Ross laughed. I know, you're surprised I have the guts to state my occupation. We Wall Street types aren't exactly popular with the public these days, are we? The flyer chuckled at the businessman's blunt honesty. Well, I won't crash the plane if that's what worries you. The market crashing is enough for now, Chum joked back. With the ice broken, Chum and Ross got down to business, discussing rates and various destinations. Sensing Ross could become a first-rate client, he offered, Would you like to go up for a spin, Mr. Ross or Rosenbaum? The client laughed again. Love to. Love flying. 20 minutes later, the plane eased down, trundling to a gentle stop on the airstrip. As he released his safety strap, the broker remarked, Thanks for the test ride. You know, you're quite the pilot. May I call you Mont? No, sir. My friends call me Chum, the pilot answered. Well, Chum, I'd like you to plan on a pleasure trip next weekend. The boys and I need to get to Havre de Grace in Maryland, and I will stay in touch. The two men shook hands again, and Ross, whistling, walked over to his Chrysler Imperial and motored away. Promptly a week later, while jiggling his office key into the door, Chum heard Ayler's phone ringing. He burst in, leaving the keys hanging in the lock, and seized the receiver. Hello? Chumbley here. Hello? Morning, Chum, flashed an urgent voice. This is Richard Ross, and I'm awfully glad I caught you at the office. We have a horse posted in the third race and need to get to Baltimore, fast. Havre de Grace racetrack? A horse in the third. Wait, where are you calling from? The young man asked. Newark. We'll be waiting at the airfield for you to arrive. Horse track, huh? Roger that. I'll gas up the Waco and be over soon. Jogging to the hangar, Chum reflected, this trip sounds like fun, especially if I make a couple of bucks. Taxiing down the runway, the flyer lifted off. His trip was just a short hop west, and Chum presently approached the New Jersey landing strip. From his windshield, he could see three figures moving outside an office building near the tarmac. Must be Ross, Chum mumbled. Touching down, the pilot slowed and turned the plane toward his passengers. But he noticed they were running toward the Waco. Ross was shouting something and waving his arms. We need to go now, Chum, the pilot finally heard above his roaring engine. Chuckling as they clambered aboard, the flyer again turned and taxied down the same airstrip, quickly lifting off toward the southeast. His three passengers breathlessly discussed the upcoming race card. Thoroughly entertained by their excitement, Chum listened. That number 6 will be tough to beat, and I paid a call to those stables. I wasn't that impressed. This flight wasn't long either, but apparently too lengthy for the impatient stockbrokers. As Chum circled the county airfield, Ross reached up and patted his shoulder. Not here, Chum. It's too far from Havre de Grace. Land the plane at the track. Put it down on the infield. Stunned, the pilot clarified. At the horse track? Yes, sir. There's no one better than you to pull off a landing like this one. As he doubtfully turned his plane around, dangerous images passed through Chum's mind, in particular the incident in Elmira. He understood, as every pilot understood, that potential disaster rode along with him on every flight. Chum worried. What are the chances of cartwheeling the plane? Can I regain lift if I come too close to the viewer stands? Will I be arrested? Ross read Chum's alarm and assured the pilot, I trust you. The field is long enough for a good flyboy like you to manage, and we'll pay for any mishap or damage. How about my broken neck? The pilot half-joked. The broker snickered. Chum shrugged, lowered the nose of his Waco, and touched down firmly, bouncing on the grass and smoothing out as the plane slowed. By the end of the infield, the Waco stopped, facing the viewing stands. Safe, no snags. Leaning over the yoke, he inhaled deeply, realizing he had held his breath through the approach, the landing, and the braking. Movement in his peripheral vision caught his notice. 4 race officials were rushing from under the track's white railing. The men waved their clipboards and arms over their heads, rushing toward his Waco. Chum caught the crowd's mixed responses to his sudden appearance. Some in the crowd stood stunned, mouths hanging open, while others cheered, jumping and clapping, as though this arrival was scheduled entertainment. The pilot burst into laughter. "Now there's the sensible crowd," he chortled, watching as the panic stampeded out the exits. Chum turned to tell his passengers to look at the stands, but saw that Ross had popped open the cabin door and was dropping down from the plane. "Take it easy, fellas, take it easy," Ross shouted to the officials. "This pilot's the best. He does this kind of landing all the time." The police quickly arrived, and Ross, now joined by his 2 associates, stood outside as if guarding the plane. The broker talked fast, and to Chum it appeared as if the authorities were calming down, physically stepping back from the wealthy New Yorker. "Maybe they realize he's a big shot," the pilot concluded. After some tense moments, the police, track managers, and officials unexpectedly shook hands with the New York businessman and strolled off the grass. Hoisting himself back into the cabin, Ross smiled. "No jail for us today, Chumbley. The track manager, the Palooka and the Blue Blazer, only ask that you move your plane to the center of the infield and that we stay until today's race card is finished." Finally unhooking his safety harness, Chum stretched, climbed out of the Waco, and shook his head in disbelief. He mumbled, "Tough treatment for men who live for the horses." River of January is available at www.river-of-january.com.